Okay, I'm making this video as a temporary sort of solution workaround to upscaling AI textures. You end up with some pretty gnarly seams on there. They're no longer seamless when you're upscaling a seamless texture. I wrote some scripts for GIMP to sort of work around this issue until AI basically gets better, till we get a form of AI that can upscale seamless images while preserving the seamlessness. I'm going to go over the problem real quick, but if you just want to see the solution, feel free to skip ahead. So I've got the original image inside of GIMP right now. This is a seamless rock texture. I can show you that it's seamless by going up to Layer, Transform, and Offset. And then in Offset, select by width divided by 2, height divided by 2. This will move the edges to the center, and you can see there's no visible seam whatsoever. This is a perfectly seamless image. So we'll cancel that, and we'll go to the upscaled version of this image. We do the same thing, Layer, Transform, Offset, and we click by width and height divided by 2, and you'll see in the center we get this gnarly seam on every corner. It's pretty bad. Now you can try to manually fix this with like clone stamping, but I mean, basically no matter what you're going to do, it's going to look like crap, and it's really tedious to do this for every single image you have, especially if you're trying to do a lot of them all at once. So rather than having to manually touch up every single one that you upscale, which can be very tedious and also look like crap if you're not very, very good at it, which I'm not, I created this script to try and work around it. Now it's a very simple design. What we do is we take our original image, and you click this upscale helper. That's the scripts. We've got tile and crop. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to tile it, and that's going to generate a 3x3 image. We're basically going to tile our seamless image, and then we're going to plug that into our upscaler. So our actual image is just right here in the middle, right? The one we plugged in is just sitting right here in the middle. And by giving the AI all of this material to work with, it should end up preserving the seamlessness of it because the AI doesn't know there's seams there. So it has the information beyond the edge to make the same guesses that it would on the other side. It should make the same decisions in every location. So these scripts will, this script will overwrite the original image. So if I go to where the image is, here we go. This is the image I had open. Now you can see it is now tiled. So it does overwrite the old script. I'm going to go over the scripts towards the end of the video so you can modify it if you don't want it to overwrite, but I want it to overwrite. So I'm going to get rid of that old upscale. So this one, this is what we just outputted from GIMP. I'm going to open my upscaler. You can use any upscaler you want. I really like this program, Upscale. I'm going to select my image, use the type. You can experiment with all of them. I like this top one for some situations. Other situations I like the second one. But for now we're going to use the top one. Don't use the double upscale. Don't do anything crazy. If you start going way too high on your resolutions, you get really bad artifacts, and it will screw up the seamlessness of it. So just do it like a regular upscale, and then we'll do our upscale. So this is taking it from a 768 to a 3K image, which it was 256, so it's actually going to a 1K. So we'll close that. Now we've got our upscaled AI. So let's discard this. File, open our upscaled and tiled. And then we're going to go back to the script upscale helper, and we're going to select the crop option. And that's going to cut out the center of it, so that we should be returned to what our actual image originally was. And now here, if we go Layer, Transform, Offset, and do the width height divided by 2, we should have a perfectly seamless texture. That's a great automated way of doing it. Now you still can if you want to. If you see some kind of issue, zoom in real close, get in there, use your clone brush, fix it up, touch it up, whatever you need to do, which you're probably going to need to do anyways because upscaling does introduce artifacting like you see right here. Just kind of a weird line right there. I'm kind of nitpicking, but it is what it is. Let me go ahead and transform, offset, undo that so it's back to where it originally was, and then from here I can just save. Actually, no, that's the next save. So we want to, let's see, save as, oh, here we go, overwrite. Choose the overwrite. And that will save it here. So now I've got my texture that I can plug into my game engine and use however, and it is, once again, seamless. So I'm going to provide a link in the description. It's going to be on my Google Drive for these scripts, but basically these are the two of them. You've got the one to do the tiling and the one to do the cropping. They're just py scripts, .pys, and you copy them and drop them into your GIMP plugins folder. Now to find your plugins folder, you can go into GIMP and go Edit, Preferences, and then in Preferences scroll down to Folders, expand Folders, don't click on Folders, just expand it. That'll let you scroll down some more until you see Plugins. Now in Plugins you'll have these directories, either one of these will work. You may only have just one. If you install a default location, I think there's only one. If you install in a custom location, it'll give you two. You can add more, you can add as many as you want, put it wherever you want, I don't care. Just get the py files into one of these directories and then restart GIMP. Once you restart GIMP, you'll have the Upscale helper dropdown and you can tile and crop your images. I'm going to go over the scripts now. If you don't want to go over the scripts with me, you feel free to download the files. You're done. Go ahead and start upscaling your images and have fun with it. I'm going to real quickly sort of go through how the scripts work so that if you want to make any modifications, you can. So the first one, this is the tiling one. You need this line here. This is so it knows what environment to use. From GIMP import star, this is how where it's importing all the GIMP functions so that we can do GIMP things. Just leave that there. The rest of this is all instructions, basically everything I've already gone over. Directions is everything in this video I just showed you how to use. The installation is how to get the py files in there. Alright, so the first thing, we're defining this tile for upscale, and we're getting an image and a drawable. The image and the drawable comes from this register at the bottom. The register tells GIMP, which I think over here I've got that written down. Yeah, I'll copy this over. The register tells GIMP how to interact with the plugin. So for example, this image/upscale helper, image is... Do I have GIMP? We do. Image is this window right here. So all these are menus in the image window. So image/upscale helper is telling it to create this drop down right here. So if you wanted to move it, you just edit this and it moves it wherever you want. Seamless upscale tiler, this is what it's called inside the engine. This has to be unique. So if you do make adjustments, make sure this line stays unique. The rest of this is all really well commented. This is where we get the image and drawable. So later on we'll be making references to image and drawable. That's these two, pf image, pf drawable. This is where we get those. Alright, so back at the top of the script, you can see we get our image and drawable here. This is where we start using them. Where we got them was from the register at the bottom I just showed you. This is commented out, but if you wanted to do some troubleshooting, it'll print a message when it starts, and then there's one at the end to print a message when it finishes. This is an undo group, so by having this line, we're going to start an undo group, and then we'll do everything in our script, and then we'll stop the undo group. That way, if the user hits undo, it will undo everything in the script, rather than one step at a time, and you have to hit undo like 30 freaking times in order to get back to your original image. Now we're going to copy the image, because we're going to need to paste it again later, because we're going to make 8 copies surrounding our image. We're going to tile 3 by 3. The scale factor of 3 will make a 3 by 3 tile. You can change this if you wanted to, like if it's taking too long to upscale your images, if they're that big, if your computer's not very fast, you can change this to a scale factor of 2, and it'll just do half the image on each side. But when you do that, you have to go back over to the crop script, and you'll have to change the crop factor to 2. So this scale factor and crop factor are linked. If these are not the same number, you will not get consistent results. I haven't tested it with anything other than 3, so if it doesn't work, you're on your own. But 3 definitely works. So we're going to get our new image dimensions, which is just our current image width multiplied by the scale factor. So 256 becomes a 1080 something. Scale old width and height. We will need our old, or save the old width and height. We will need our old width and old height. Later on, when we are tiling, we will need to know the size of the thing we're pasting. This is the image, or this code here will let our image stay in the center, so when we resize, by default it puts it in the top left corner. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our image in the dead center. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter when you're 3 by 3, But if you were to set that crop factor or scale factor to 2, for example, you need to make sure the dead center of your image is the image you actually want to upscale. So that's why we have this code here. And then we do the resize with the numbers we just gave it, which is here. And then another thing we need to do is we need to resize the layer boundaries. This is kind of complicated. It took me a long time to figure this out. The way GIMP works is really weird. It kind of suffers from the same issues Photoshop does, where it's so complicated it can't get out of its own way. So just leave this here. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like it should need to be there, but GIMP is freaking retarded, so you need to adjust the image size and you need to adjust the layer size. And then this block of code here will create the tiles. So for example, this will paste into the top left, this will paste into the top center, the top right, blah, 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 blah. This all calls the create tile function, which is down here at the bottom. This function just basically makes a selection box and then pastes what the original image that we copied into it. And then after we've pasted it all, we come down here, we remove the floating selections so that the user can see the image more clearly. We don't need any dotted lines marching around making it difficult to see the seamlessness of our image. And then we need to flatten it, because when you paste in GIMP, it creates a new floating selection layer. So by flattening it, we get rid of that layer. We're all back on a single layer. Here we're going to end the undo group. So this is, at this point, if you were to hit undo, it would undo everything that is done before that. If you didn't have this, the undo group, you'd have to undo every single one of these one at a time. It'd be really annoying. And then lastly, save the image. Now, if you don't want it to overwrite the image, you would change the image name here. This is where it gets the image name. This is actually the whole, it's the whole file name, like in Windows. It's not just the, texture.png. It's C:/ whatever. It's the entire directory path to your image and the name and the extension. So if you're going to change it, you have to change it here. You're going to have to learn a little bit of Python in order to get back from the PNG and change that to _1 or whatever you wanted. You're on your own for that. I didn't want to mess with it. I'm perfectly fine with letting it overwrite. Or if you don't even want it to save, you can just comment out all of this code here, and it will just not save. It'll just do the tiling and then let you save on your own if you want to, or do whatever you want. It will try to do the save, so just in case there's an error, it will output the error, and then this PDB file, PNG save defaults, this will save our image, the layer of our image, the image name, which is, again, the entire path. And then this is supposed to be the raw file name, which according to the documentation is the file name without the extension, but it didn't seem to matter. Setting this to anything didn't seem to do anything, so I just left it as output and don't touch it, and it works perfectly fine as is. And that's it for this script. We'll go over to the crop script. This one's much simpler. It's got the same preamble, the directions, the installation. It's got the same start the undo group. I'm not sure it really even needs the undo group, but it's there. We got the crop factor, make sure that matches the scale factor. We're going to get our new image dimensions. Remember, this time we're actually making it smaller, so we're dividing instead of multiplying. The code will allow existing image to remain in the center. So again, we're going to offset the image so that the center of the image stays in the middle rather than the top left, because the origin of your image is the top left pixel, so we need to move it. And this time we're moving it negative, so 0 minus the width and 0 minus the height, because we want it to move left and up to keep the center of the image in the center of the new smaller canvas. We do our resize with all the parameters we gave it, and then again we need to resize the layer boundaries so that they match the new canvas because GIMP is retarded, and then we end the undo group, and that's it for that one. Very simple. So you just save these two .py files into your GIMP plugin folders and have fun with it.